Howdy guys, it's Luke at Luke's Affordable Paint Service, and in this video we're going to revisit Army Painter paints. Right guys, so Army Painter. I have been an endorsee of Army Painter now for what? It must be coming up 12 months. It's been a while. And when I first started using them, I did the video explaining that the reason that people have a lot of problems with them is mixing. Now, over the 12 months, I've developed different ways of dealing with that. The first way, putting the agitators in and stuff like that is fine, but they still take some bloody shaking to the point where I'm getting quite annoyed and I'm having to get in there and give them a mix. Now, I've developed a way, because I've got a couple more bits off Army Paint and I've loads of spares. I've played with different ways to make them better. This way works really well, so they can actually shake them up properly and they'll behave like most of the paint companies. There's a couple of colours you've got to be careful with, which I'll explain that in the video. So, let's get the camera down, let's tell you what you need. Don't need a lot, and we'll get cracking. Catch you in a bit. Right guys, so first off, you're obviously going to need your paint. I'm going to show you how to do this on the Phoenix Flames. One reason, because I haven't used it, so this is going to react like what they normally react like. I'm using the War Painter mixing medium. The reason I'm using this is because it's the same medium that's in the paint. If you haven't got any of this, you can use any medium, okay? But because it's the same medium in the paint, I get better results, that's all. But all mediums are roughly the same. It's just this is a thicker medium, so I don't use as much. So if you've got this, great. If you haven't, then use what you've got. But if you do need any, we do sell this below if you do need it, okay? I'm using glass BBs. The reason I'm doing this is because everybody seems to saying that they have problems with metal ball bearings. I don't have any problems with metal ball bearings rusting at anything. I buy the higher grade steel ones. And with them being 8mm and with them being steel, they're a hell of a lot heavier than these glass BBs. So you only need one. I'm having to put two in and they're still not as effective as one of the big steel BBs. Lead weights work. Just use, if you're bothered about it rusting, get these, but I'm telling you now, they're not as effective as the big steel ball bearings. Okay, but then I don't have any troubles with rust. A mixing stick. I prefer a big metal barbecue stick like this because I can wipe it clean. It's not going to take any colour on like wood does. So just something so you can get it in that's thin enough to get a good mix round. Key ingredient, water. Now, do not use tap water. I've used tap water and the paints that I did it on first are now stinking. As in proper stinking. Use distilled water. If you can't get distilled water, I mean, it's online, it's on eBay. Get deionized water. There's no difference for the differences between deionized and distilled water make no difference to this procedure whatsoever. It's just that the fact it's less likely to go off. That's the only reason why you use that. Okay, but this is distilled water. I've just put it in this so it's easy to decant. And a little mixing bottle for mixing it up so you can drop it into your bottles once you're done. Okay, this is just for showing you the changes in the paint consistency, and this is for cleaning. See you in a sec. Right, so when you first get Army Painter, this is what most people are used to seeing. That, right? Might not show right well on this camera, but it's literally, it's like a watered down transparent ink with a tiny bit of painting. This is not what Army Painter paint is. This is after shaking it. I mean, you can hear it shaking a little bit. So I've shook it a little bit, and what do we get? We got a little bit more colour in there. So what you've got to do is you've got to get in that bottle and give it a stir. So we'll get the lid off, and then we'll get a good mix. Way to get that off is some pliers, but because I'm a barbarian, I use my teeth. Right, now this is the messy bit. Get your steering stick in and give that an awesome mix. Okay, as in get right round the tops of the corners and have a look in there, and you're wanting it to mix up to a thick paste. Okay, this needs to be done. Even with the ball bearing in, it doesn't do it as good as this. So if you do this to all your new paints, it makes an absolute massive difference. Okay, so you don't waste any paint, just scrape it off like that. Scrape as much off. You will get a tiny bit of waste, but nothing to worry about. I mean, you're saving a fortune on these, buying these paints compared to other companies anyway. So that little bit that you waste, it's not going to hurt a thing. And then clean it off. At this point, put your 2 glass ball bearings in, or metal BB, or whatever you're deciding to use in. Put your top on, and now give it a shake. And as you can tell, them BBs are not doing the right lot. It's because they're not heavy. Now we need to do, because the next step, to show you how to make them BBs do more work, but I will show you how that paint works in a second. Right, so after that mix and them ball bearings putting in, the paint is more like paint. This colour is like a browny yellow, and that's working a lot more like paint. It could still do with a good mix because it's still slightly transparent. It's still quite watery, whereas the Army Painter paints aren't that watery. Okay, so we'll just repeat the shaking method and stirring method till we get to a thicker paste, and then we can talk about thinning it down a bit. Okay, catch you in a sec. Right, so it's just had another quick shake, as in quite a vigorous one, but now you should be more or less ready. Look at that, comes out proper thick paste, like paint there, and that is what you want to be seeing when you use an Army Painter. A good, nice, thick, solid paint, and that would paint over a prime surface in one coat. I mean, look at that. Okay, now most people would be happy with it like that all the time. The problem is, if you want the paint to stay like this all the time, you have to vigorously shake it, which is a pain in the ass. I've developed a way so you can just thin it down a little bit. The lighter colours like this will become slightly transparent. They do go on more or less in one coat, depending on what colour's underneath, but it means you can shake them up properly and get the best out of the paint. Okay, so let's show you how to make that medium to make this paint better. Catch you in a bit. Right, so get your mixing medium, and before you do that, do the same to this mixing medium that you've already done to the paint, okay? Because medium needs mixing as well. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll make sure that's mixed, and then we're going to decant quite a lot. I'd say just over half of this into this little bottle. Okay. See how thick this medium is? It takes so long to settle. Okay, and this is the problem that we're having with the paints, because the medium's that thick, it just it's unreal, as in it's like tar. Again, drop a few ball bearings in. I mean, that's how thick the medium is. Look, that's a ball bearing sitting on the top of the medium that's not fell in the pot yet. They make me chuckle. Right, so get that in there. Next step is get some water. Okay, so your distilled water is the best one, but deionized will do. And what we're doing is we're just filling the rest, so it's like 50-50 mix almost. If my syringe wants to work, there we go. Oh, 50-50 mix, water and medium. Now, before we start shaking that, I advise getting it a mix with your stirrer, because the same problem you're going to have with this, like you are going to have with your paint, you see. I'll give this a good mix, so you've got a nice strong mixing medium now. Put your lid on, you drop a lid and your lid, and that should shake up really nicely. And as you can hear, that's what your paint is going to sound like in a bit. Not that easily shaken, but a lot easier than normal. Okay, so that's how you make a nice mixing medium, rather than just using that because it's too thick. You're not diluting your paint when you do it with that. So next step, we're just going to put some of this in and make it a little bit better. Catch you in a bit. Now this is the testing game because different colours require different amounts, okay? So with this being a lighter colour, take it easy. So put what? That's 6 drops in? I've lost count. But 6 drops this will do. And then we'll see how that makes the paint in here react. Already, they're mixing around a lot. Okay, so because we've done that and it's mixing around quite a bit, let's give that paint a proper test. Oh, I didn't put dropper on. We'll give that paint a test and we'll see what that's like. I'll just clean up because look what I've done. Always put the dropper nib on before shaking up. Catch you in a sec. Right, so after a clean up and a shake, let's try this again. Okay, this is shaking far better. As you can hear the ball bearings starting to work when you shake it. And that paint is still very opaque. So we can carry on watering this down. So we can put another, I'd say possibly 5 or 6 drops in that. And what you've got to bear in mind as well, what I'm painting this on PVC. Acrylic doesn't really like PVC. So the fact that I'm painting on here and it's still that opaque, and that's a yellow, guys, okay, and the yellows are not renowned for being good, and this is one reason why I've chose the yellows, to show you that you can make a good yellow from Army Painter. All right, so what we'll do is we'll add another 5 or 6 drops and we'll try it again, and we'll try that till we can get it shaking up really nice and be a good quality paint, and that way all your Army Painter paints are going to work with a quick shake up. All right, catch you in a sec. Right, so I've added another, what, 6 dots? 7 drops? That's now shaking up and you can hear it knocking about. And when you put it on the palette, I'll have to put camera down now. See you in a sec. It comes out like a really nice dot. And that is still very thick, very opaque paint. Okay. You could even walk that down and it still will go on one coat. And again, this is PVC. It's not a very good acrylic. It's not very good for painting acrylics on, but as you can see, spreading that really thin, and it's near enough fully opaque. Do you know what I mean? I could even get away with watering down this even more, but I'm happy with that because it means I can use it as it is, or I can add some water and a bit of flow aid if I'm wanting to build a glaze up or mess around with it being a lighter colour. Alright, but I'm happy with that. So with what you've learnt with this video, try it with all your paints and you will get some very good paints that work every time and you can shake them up. Catch you in a bit. Right guys, so that's it. That's how you make your Army Painters paints. Mix up easy. Alright, so you can mix them up easy, just pull them off, even if you haven't used them for a while, get them off, give them a shake, put them on your palette and they'll work perfect. Okay, and you can still add water to them if you want on your palette to get more out of them. So I'm not suggesting buy your mixing medium and then sit down and do your 100 and I don't know how many of these, 110, 120 odd of them. I've done it as I've gone, okay? So I think I sat down and did the paints I was going to use that day, which were about 10. I sat and did them 10, and then after that, they're the main ones that I use regular. But then after that, if I use a colour that I've never used before, because there's still colours in the range that I've never used, every now and again I'll pick one up and just drop a couple of drops in, and away I go. This one pot of wallpaper mixing medium will do the whole range, plus give you enough more for using for other things. Okay, so if you don't want to spend a tenner on a big pot of mixing medium, you can get the mixing medium to just do your paint range. So that's a cheaper way of doing it. We sell it below. I'm not sure how much it is, but I know the main paints are about £1.80, from £1.80 each anyway. So if you'd like to buy any of them, all the links are below. So yeah, that's how my review on Army Painter now. Now I've done this, I know people are going to say, well, you shouldn't have to do it. And you're right, you shouldn't have to do it. But Army Painter's paint sets, the reason they're so popular is they're a good price. And this is one reason why I chose to go with Army Painter. I wanted some other companies when they contacted me. But because of Luke's APS, and how I started out. I thought I should be using the paints that people are buying as a starter set because it's a good starter set price. That Mega Paint set is unreal for the money, okay? So that's why I chose Army Painter. So people starting out can buy a decent paint set, and if you now with this knowledge together, you've got some bloody good paints that work and they're cheap, okay? And if you want to check out the prices that we do them at, you can check below. All right, guys, that's the re-review of Army Painter. I won't do any more reviews on these just because I don't need to now. This has fixed the problem. It's now a good paint. Okay, I don't have to sit there shaking it and swearing it and banging it in a shaker for 10 minutes to use it. They all shake up easily. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Check everything out below, and I'll see you again for the next video.